everybody, and welcome to Hooked on Cinema. I am Jem, and this is
T. Welcome back, everyone.
Today, we are starting our action movies.
Yes, the month of March is for action films.
Today, we will be kind of doing a balance. Since we just finished romance, this is kind of a romantic action movie. So I think this is a great movie to transition into this month, and the movie is Argyle.
Yeah, and first off, because like the title of this podcast says, Hooked on Cinema, we are crocheting while we discuss the movies. I'm currently working on a block mesh pattern to be the bottom of a hot pad. I'm just experimenting, making my own design right now. And what are you working on, G?
I am currently working on a crop top cardigan. It works out. It looks pretty when it's all said and done. How many episodes will it take me to be all said and done? Probably a lot. A lot of episodes.
So Argyle was released in 2024. It's a very recent action film, and as Jem was saying, there is some romance storyline to it. Now, the production companies, it's Apple Original Films, Marv, Cloudy Production, and Universal Pictures was in it with helping with distribution. The director is Matthew Vaughn, and most people know his work for the Kingsman movies. He directed those. The writer is Jason Fuchs. I don't know if I'm saying his last name right. Now, the main actors, this is a very star-studded, but the main ones would be Bryce Dallas Howard as Ellie Conway and Sam Rockwell as Aiden Wilde. And then you also have Henry Cavill, Bryan Cranston, Catherine O'Hara, John Cena, Samuel L. Jackson. Like, the list goes on. It's star-packed, and overall I find a fun movie. I did see this movie in theaters when it came out, and I loved it. And this was your first time watching it, right?
Yes. So this was my first time watching it on Apple TV.
Yes, so it's only available on Apple TV because it is from an Apple production. And you either have to have a subscription Apple TV, or like I had to buy it on Amazon Prime.
Argyle is based on the novel Argyle.
There's a whole mystery about that novel thing. So, yeah, I don't know if you actually looked into that. So it's like a rabbit hole of conspiracy when you go into where this movie is based from. The director, Matthew Vaughn, it's rumored that he wanted to do a movie based off like another book, but like he couldn't get the rights to it or something. So then he, I guess, paid a couple other writers to write a similar story and then use that. So that when it came out that it was based like on a book, there was this whole mystery of who the actual writers are, because the book is written by Ellie Conway. And so I was like, who is the actual writer? And so, of course, the internet sleuths out there went out and tried to figure out, well, it's kind of in this person's writing style. It's like this person's writing style. And now it sounds like it might have been written by two authors. I'm still not 100% sure on that because, yeah, that's like a whole rabbit hole going down, trying to figure out the story behind that.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's very good for their marketing for the movie, of having all this mystery surrounding a book that the movie is supposedly based on. And it's supposed to be like book one of a whole series. I do not know if a whole series is coming or not. It'd be great if so, because this movie's fun.
But basically, that explains why there's a connection to the Kingsman. And I was like, if this is based on a book, the Kingsman isn't based on any book. Like, why would it be connected?
Yeah, the only connection between this and the Kingsman, though, is like that mid-credit scene. Is that what really ties it in? So you don't have to watch the Kingsman movies to watch and enjoy this film. Like, you're not missing anything on that.
didn't. Well, okay, I'm not gonna lie. There are moments, filmmaking wise, that I saw the Kingsman like flare.
Well, it's the same director, so it makes sense.
Yeah. So there were definitely times where I was like, oh, this reminds me of the Kingsman. And I don't think that worked well for this movie, actually. My personal opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. I like this movie overall because of the unique style of it and how vibrant it is with like just the color, the look of it. It's extremely vibrant. But for anyone who hasn't watched it, you will get spoilers. But to sum it up, an author who writes successful spy novels is all of a sudden finds herself thrown into like an actual spy novel while she's trying to figure out the story for her, like the next book. And she has a wonderful cat named Alfie. You gotta love the cat.
That cat was primarily CGI, by the way.
I know, but it's hilarious.
So much CGI with that cat.
We can start with this talk with the CGI. The CGI is very noticeable in certain scenes. Like, you know, overall, there's gonna be plenty in this type of film because it's a spy film, and of course, it's really pushing the boundaries of realism, especially with the stunts and so on. So, of course, there are plenty of CGI, not just like green screen backgrounds, but also in the action itself. Like, a big part of that would be beginning scene with Henry Cavill driving like a Jeep down the city, down rooftops of the city. It's extremely noticeable, but I think this is a genre where it can actually work for it because you know they're doing things humanly impossible, kind of like really stretching realism, but it's just for fun. Like, you're not supposed to take these movies seriously. It's just for a good time. So I personally don't mind it when it doesn't look like seamless and you can tell, oh yeah, of course that's CG. I still enjoy it. But what do you think?
I think it works for any Henry Cavill scenes, and I do think that they spent less time on the CGI or perfecting that as they do in the hidden effects that are done with the like actual characters, because you have to remember that Superman, which is Henry Cavill, because he's supposed to be Argyle, and he is a fictional character that this writer is writing about. So this is like a daydreaming sequence, is the beginning sequence with him and John Cena.
But yeah, they're playing out what she is writing in the books. Like,
yeah.
And so it makes sense that it's very stylized and obvious.
Yeah, so for me, I can't forgive it. I'm not gonna lie, there were moments of that sequence where I was like, okay, CGI right there. Okay, good. But there are scenes like later in the movie where it's the spray cans that were all done with particle animation. The entire hallway was rebuilt in 3D to get that effect and then to add those elements into it. And I thought that was very seamless and that was very beautiful.
Yeah, that looked great.
Yeah, so the fact that I do think that they do more care on the actual like real world spy, and I think when she meets up with the caretaker person that has the bullet, that entire wall is CGI, that entire building is CGI that they're in. It's just so much set enhancement was done on this movie. So much visual effects was put into this, and as most spy movies are, because most of these gadgets don't exist. So I think the seamlessness that they focused on those scenes were more important than the ones done with Henry Cavill and John Cena, because those are fiction. So like you can forgive yourself for like, oh, you know, because they are a little bit outlandish, like way more out there, even though events that happen in the so-called real world were pretty crazy too.
Yeah, they do get crazy, but I think the movie did a good job of kind of showing those differences a little bit of what she imagined the spy world was like and her characters when we meet Aiden and in his first fight scenes, like on the train and then in the apartment where they're supposed to find the master key and stuff. And she's like blinking and seeing Henry Cavill and a switch between Sam Rockwell and Henry Cavill. And they have like different fighting because, of course, Henry's like all nice and clean. He's smiling during it. He's like pristine. And Sam Rockwell's just
winks
getting
at
beaten
one
up.
point, I think.
Yeah, it's hilarious. And I liked how they kept changing from like her point of view on that. So then like you could quickly see like a blink, and then it changes to Henry Cavill, a blink, back to Sam Rockwell, blink, and so on. So I did like how it changed from her point of view, and then the camera also went elsewhere during the fighting scenes. Like I really like that train fighting scene, how the camera moved with the action, and then would cut back to her perspective in a changing between the two.
Like a lot of things can go wrong in those types of fight sequence. So I think the action that the camera had, it just added to the intensity. And I think it definitely made you feel her anxiety with the camera movement that was done. I think it was beautiful. I was actually not a fan of the transition. So like the POV and it looking like her eyes were shutting off and on. I would have rather preferred, for me personally, is transition black. So like black, you see, like, I just didn't like the like seeing the eyelashes, because they made like you actually feel like she's opening, like you're inside her head and she's like opening and closing. Like I don't even.
It is like in her head though, her seeing Argyle.
Yeah.
So it's still showing what she's going through at the moment, and then it kind of makes sense later on when you find out the actual story that she is Rachel Guile, Argyle.
What threw me off was the eyelashes, because when I blink, I don't see my own eyelashes. So it's like very weird, like that part of the blinking. I don't know. It's just, for me, it took me way more out of the scene than it did put me in. I definitely agree with the like making a blink type look, but when they added the like eyelashes or the shadow of the eyelashes, it really like, I was like, I don't want to actually be like in her head. Like I just want the illusion of her head rather than like the physicality of it. And again, like I don't see my eyelashes when I blink. I don't know about other people. Please comment down below if you can see your eyelashes when you blink. But like that just threw me off. I'm sorry. It's like a pet peeve of mine when it's like so close. Like one more adjustment and it would have been brilliant. But other than that, yes, the train sequence was great. And what the Kingsmen do, because this is the same director as the Kingsmen and technically in the same world as it, even though they're never brought up ever, is the fight sequences. And I'm like, I will, if you are in this movie for the fight sequences, they do not disappoint at all. They are gorgeous to look at. Just chef's kiss, man.
Yeah, they're very well done. I love the action on it and the camera movement. And again, like I was saying, the vibrantness of this, vibrancy of the colors. And as a matter of the colors, the costume, the lighting, all of it, it just brings a very vibrant feel. And it's, I don't know, it's really refreshing and nice. It's not dark and gritty. It's fun.
And I do like how smart they were that after the reveal happens, and again, as we do preface every episode, there will be spoilers because we are discussing the entire movie, is that she is technically Argyle, which, again, the ending brings that to question. But either way, in the movie, you understand that she is Argyle and she went on these missions. So when you're getting flashbacks, I love the color correction that was done for those scenes. I thought that was really, really a stark contrast, and it definitely like started to make a signal in your brain that these are flashbacks. These are real events that happen in the movie, and they're flashbacks.
Yeah, that was a nice touch there with those. Catherine O'Hara was also playing Ellie's mother, pretending to be her mother and all. And I really like the reveal they did, like, oh wait, she's not. Because they kind of hide that pretty well in the beginning.
No, yeah, like, so I watched this with my brother, and so it was like, we were like, are those her parents? Or are those not her parents? And he's like, well, why would she think they are if they're not? And so we're like, okay, yeah. But like, they also give me like evil sketchy vibes. So like the moment I saw them, I was like, something's up.
Bryan Cranston from Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
And I like his reveal when he comes into the hotel room and you find out he's playing her dad. That was a nice reveal. Because until then, you just see him as the director.
As the evil director, too. Because it's not like a good guy.
He comes in that hotel room, then you know for certain, wait a second, something's up. These are not her parents, or there's just some other like storyline going on.
But I also think it's very interesting because I didn't catch it. My brother did. Further down, you find out that Kyle, or Agent Argyle, which is her actual name, Rachel Kyle, is actually working for the division. And my brother was like, well, of course, she's supposed to be Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill is working for the same boss as the bad guy in the dream sequence. So if they both have the same boss, that means she's a bad guy. Like, don't you remember? She said, like, if I'm a terrorist, what are you? And I was like, I did not catch that. That did not register in my brain.
Well, then the question becomes, is she actually good and just being like a double agent, or is she actually bad and Aiden doesn't know?
I think she was bad, and then the 5 years of being this writer and having like this mundane life may have changed her to being good, even though she does say that she was always going to give him.
Her story is that she was always a double agent and she just had to play it as being with the division for so long until she got that master key, and then she could come clean about it all. So that's her story, and I'm inclined to believe it because it is also evident that Aiden loves her, so that brings in the romance story. As she gets more and more of her memories back, she obviously really cares about him as well.
I don't know. I'm a very cynical person, and I'd rather believe that she was a division diehard and then got maybe she fell in love with this dude so much that he like turned her good. She then decided to be a double agent. So that's my theory on that.
Well, Aiden was working for the division as well, and so was Alfred. That's the thing Alfred and Aiden and Rachel were all working for the division until they got double crossed in that story that we see Henry Cavill playing out in the beginning in her book there, because the stories she's writing in her books are her exact recent missions. And so when they're betrayed, then they find out, wait, there's someone in the agency that is like a double agent then or something. That's when Alfred and Aiden, and technically it's supposed to be Rachel as well, they go on their own investigation. Aiden explains this later, saying that once Alfred started kind of investigating, he was kind of kicked out of the division, so he had to go into hiding. And Aiden, of course, was loyal to him. He was working with him. And then Rachel, of course, had her accident, which caused her to lose her memory and give the head scientist, played by Catherine O'Hara, and also Bryan Cranston, the opportunity to brainwash her, because they knew she was going after the master file and they're trying to find it. And she was the last person to be the closest to it. Kind of like the key code to get the master file. She was the last person to be the closest to it, so they needed her memories, but of course she had amnesia from the explosion she was in, and then they brainwashed her.
And
And I thought it was really sweet, though, that Aiden was watching her for this whole 5 years.
I thought it was creepy.
I love that scene when he's showing her the cameras in her home office there when they're in the cabin after escaping the train, and she's like, "Are you a pervert?" He's like, "No, spy, not pervert. I'm a spy."
And he's like, technically those are the bad guys' feeds that I did happen to hack into. So it's okay. That goes back to our argument from the Notebook, where it's like, if the guy is hot enough, it's endearing. She's clearly in love with him. His stock weird behaviors are enduring. I am not attracted to that actor, so I say it's kind of creepy.
Well, I think also it was not only did he care about her, because obviously there was a love relationship between them before her accident, but he also needed to know what happened to her. But he couldn't get close to her because he knew the division was constantly watching her. And so he just had to watch from a distance to see when and if she got her memory back and just be there for her to help her out. Because he didn't know about the double cross either, that she was secretly working for the division the whole time she was supposed to be helping him and Alfred. That was a surprise to him when that came out. So he didn't know about that at all. He just thought, that's my partner and the division has control of her now. I need to stay by in case something happens and he can save her.
That is the love of my life. I must be good. Oh yeah. So, okay, I'm not gonna lie. Once it was revealed that they were a love interest, my brain so wanted to see Henry Cavill and John Cena kiss or hold hands or something.
Oh my gosh. I wonder if that was discussed, but I don't think that was filmed.
I would have loved it.
Because, you know what? There are just bromances. I think they had a bromance.
Not if the real life them had a romanticness to it. I'm so sorry. I believe in bromances.
Here is another thing about that. So she's writing this story with this character called Argyle, starring Henry Cavill. Now, typically in these stories, especially spy stories, the lead is always a male. So even though it's her stories, she did those things. If she writes as a male, that's a bestseller, not as a woman. So that comes into the difference between how just women are treated in that genre. And so on, they're always seen as like the sexy sidekick or the evil evil woman, again, who's always in like the tight-fitting dress and everything. It's ridiculous. So I think of it as that reason why it's Henry Cavill playing her version of what she did, her memories, because she doesn't remember herself actually doing those at first, and she's just writing the story. And of course, they'll be like, it's got to be like a James Bond thing. It has to be male lead. It can't be a woman lead.
And then he always has to be able to flirt with the
he's got flirty. He's got to always look good. He's got to be able to do the impossible, all this stuff. And also on that note, I love that they had cast Bryce Dallas Howard for this, because she also, like when we see her too, she's a normal woman. You know, she's not like, I mean, she's pretty in her own way and all, but she's not like supermodel pretty. She's not overly athletic, like tons of muscles and everything. So there's nothing to give it away that she can do all this action stuff. She just looks like a normal woman. We do see her doing yoga in her home. So we know she, is at least fit. She takes care of herself and her health and all that. But she is just so normal. And that's really nice about this, because we all imagine, like, we could all go on an adventure and we're just normal people. We see this normal woman put into this adventure all of a sudden and trying to figure it out. Of course, it's discovered later on she's actually this big action person. But I just really loved how it started off with a normal looking woman of this.
I mean, she's still gorgeous in her own right, like you mentioned. But yes, you're right. She still portrays that. I don't even want to say normal woman look. It's like she kind of has that look of an author. Like, I think certain authors have a look to them, and I think she very much embodies that type of look. That being said, she's in Jurassic World, isn't she?
Yeah, she does a great job in those too. So we have seen her do action stuff as well, but not like the fighting like that's in this film. And besides this, she also does directing. She's also a director. I think she's directed some Star Wars stuff, like episodes of things. So she's really great actress and filmmaker. And I think this movie did a good job for showing her acting ability, because she has to go from this normal, naive author who just has done a lot of research on these books, to all of a sudden being in this life and death situation, going through all these emotions, and then slowly start getting her memories back. That's why, too, she doesn't get all her memories back immediately. She just slowly gets them back. And we don't know, as she's slowly getting them back, how much she remembers at certain points. So then when she's going to go get the master key file from the lady that holds all the secrets, she's nervous at first. She doesn't know if she can do this. And she's dressed differently. Her hair is different. She's starting to be like a secret agent now. And she still doesn't have all her memories back. But then when she's sitting down with her and having a conversation, she sees Henry Cavill and he's like, you got this. And you don't need me more. And so then he disappears, and all of a sudden it's like a switch flipped. And she becomes this tough woman. But then there's still certain little parts in it where she's like timid as well. And so you don't know how much of it is she just acting or how much does she remember. And then, of course, by the end, she has remembered everything. So it's really a credit to her acting ability to carry that all the way through, from showing every single emotion and just her journey through it.
Because I do like when her partner says the writer wasn't just a fictional character. She was still a version of you. Like, you're a good person. So I really like how, yes, even though this author is not this badass spy, you can also see how that could have been a version of her. Maybe that's the version that we would have gotten had she never been a spy, or, something like that. They still feel like the same character, which I love, and not that many actors can portray.
All comes back to the cat. So then it's funny too of her time without her memories and just being Kelly Conway author has definitely changed her to a bit, because they do say she was never a cat person, she's a dog person. And then of course she gets her full memories back, and she does tell Bryan Cranston at one point, like, I don't care about the cat. Afterwards we see her go back to save the cat. We gotta save the cat. And then even at the very end, Aiden's cuddling with the cat, even though he has severe allergies. So the cat's still there. So that has changed her to a point of she still has feelings for this cat that she's had for who knows how many years there, even though she used to be a dog person. So it has definitely had an effect on her. But I love that you still get to see part of that innocent author part there. Even though she's back to being the spy person, she still has that little bit of her.
And it was very, I'm glad that she did finish the series, because I was gonna be like, people would find it sus if you don't finish your own spy series. I'm just saying.
Yeah, so she had to go adapt the red hair look again, which she, of course, is naturally a redhead. So she had to go back to that look of the author and complete the last book.
Just brilliantly made. Okay, so the oil scene in the fight sequence against the bad guy.
The ice skating scene, the oil.
Yeah. So first of all, I like when they put away the guns and they're like, knives out. And it makes me think of the movie Knives Out. I felt like there were some times where they kept saying stuff like that I would make me think of other movies. But either way, I thought that was beautifully done. I like that where she's like, wait, am I really a figure skater, or was that made up?
Yeah,
so
no, so far in, she still doesn't have all her full memories. She's just working with what she has.
And then she's like, I'm praying muscle memory's a thing. Even though, the way that she made those ice skates.
Yeah, that was probably, I don't know, I'm torn between that one and the hallway smoke dance fighting scene to be the most ridiculous fight scenes in here.
They are really ridiculous. And then when the bad guy, Director Ritter, then tells his men, ignore the safety protocols and shoot her. She then gets a gun and starts shooting them, and I'm like, did she? Was her earpiece still in? Did she hear that? Because...
Yeah, I don't know. I was actually wondering if it was through the earpieces or he made an announcement over the intercom, what happened with that. But also, she has worked for them for so long, she would know what they would be doing. She would know how he works.
But also, she risked a lot, because that room could have gone up in flames.
I know.
A lot.
And I like how...
could have.
Well, that's the thing, too. It's put the guns away, because any, spark can set it off. It's you're still pulling out knives? They can spark as well, depending what you hit it on. So it's that didn't quite make sense. But I did like how, the henchman, he gets up and he's all going to go after him, and then he slips. I just loved how like that was realistic. Like you can't easily walk across that oil. You're gonna be slipping and sliding.
I did like that. Yeah, their movement around the oil was very natural, so I really liked that. And then you're right, though. The other ridiculous was the dance sequence of
With the smoke.
smoke.
Yeah, some of it was fine. Some of the dance moves were ridiculous.
The fact that he was the one on
up
top,
on her shoulders. Yeah.
I would have preferred the other way. Thank you very much.
I think overall, though, it was just again a style choice, and again vibrant with all the color smoke.
I thought again
it was beautiful.
That was gorgeous.
That brings into light the soundtrack for this movie, because there's so many different like great songs during the fight scenes and so on, and it works so well and adds to the fun and feeling that this movie is trying to give you. It's like, don't take it seriously, we're just gonna sit down for a 2-hour ride and have some fun with this.
Yep, like the cat being the real hero.
I know, except he did scratch out the eyes and they needed the eyes.
He didn't know. He wasn't dead. He was like, bad guy, kill, and he did it.
Yeah, I love the cat in there just being this odd comedic foil that just pops in once in a while, and then like a cut to like him being in the backpack, and you just see his expression. It's funny.
Oh my goodness, I want that backpack. By the way, if my dog could fit in that backpack, she would.
You have a
totally
large
do.
dog. That's not gonna happen.
That backpack's the size of my dog's face. One of the pet peeves that I do have is the whole muscle memory thing. So I don't like that when she was in the train sequence, she wasn't able to fight or like do any, like there was no hint to it. And I get it, it's for the surprise. But then like she then gets told who she is, and then like magically she can now go toe-to-toe with her boyfriend. Like,
well, I think too, before that part, when they're looking for the hacker guy who's supposed to have the code to help them get the master key. When they're looking for him and they're in the park there, and I think it might have been then, at least I get the impression that it was then when she was really starting to question stuff, because all of a sudden she's figuring this stuff out, and it's like, how could she have known this? And she's starting to question, especially when they're finally in the room, they have the code book and they're looking at it, and she's like, yeah, I figured it out. And I think she's starting to question it then. So she doesn't have the muscle memory then, because of course, and she can't crush the guys' heads in the hallway. You know, the twist. I think she's starting to like question stuff, but of course she doesn't fully believe. So when they do meet Alfred, played by Samuel L. Jackson, in a nice vineyard, he's telling her, you know, this was you, and she's like, oh nope, I'm out. I love that little funny turn of like, oh nope, I'm gone, this is BS, I'm out. That was hilarious. And I think then at that point Aiden is like, you know what, I'm fed up with this, because of course that must have been hard for him to be with the woman he loves, and she doesn't know who he is, doesn't love him, none of that. And that must have been really hard for him, especially having watched her for 5 years from a distance. You know, all of a sudden be face to face with her, and she doesn't remember him.
Also, how different she was. Like, he did not like this whiny, upset, like, version of her. Because it's like, well, that's not who I fell in love with. I fell in love with this badass spy.
Yeah.
And you're not her, so it's, like, annoying. And so, yeah, no, I can see that. I've always found the timing of some of these things, like, ironic. Like, once the audience knows, you're allowed to see her be badass.
Well, yeah, it's the whole plot issue too, because you have to make sure the audience can follow along, and it makes it believable for the audience and so on. You just can't all of a sudden, like after the train fight scene, oh, all of a sudden she has all this great muscle memory and can fight again. For like in the train scene, he has to swipe her legs to get her to go down so she doesn't get hit by bullets, and then her hand is shaking when she's holding up the gun. So it might have been nice for just one little muscle memory thing to pop up, not like she has to go hit someone, but just something to be like, wait, how did I do? Like maybe her catching a gun or something instead of it falling on her lap.
No, yeah.
That would have been nice, but then I think they would have brought into question more of it, because at this point in the movie, as an audience, you don't know what's going on. You still think she's just an author, and you're confused on why she keeps imagining her character. So I think they just try to keep that going for as long as possible.
And I do like how Samuel L. Jackson says, like, it's your conscience trying to get out. And then, of course, we have the big reveal at the end.
What I love is that while they're off doing this dangerous thing, he's watching sports in his little barn there while waiting for them to send the master file. He's just hanging out watching sports. I think it was like basketball.
Yeah, he
like,
was.
You can't help him in any way. It's like, what are you doing?
You're the guy behind the chair. Spider-Man, anybody? Spider-Man? Yeah, he's supposed to be the guy behind the chair, and he ain't doing nothing.
I thought that was hilarious. I do like how at the end, though, they're all there for her last book, and she's like describing what she thinks each character would have done, and looks at him. That was really sweet.
I do find it funny, though, the whole scene with the download.
Yeah.
The download button.
He's just like, come on.
And
he
it's
doesn't know what's going on.
when she hits it with her elbow, I was like, I don't know about you, but no touchscreen has ever been like touched when it's cloth. I'm just saying, that's very, I would have preferred the finger, thank you very much.
Yeah, I caught the elbow thing too. I was like, no, that one's not believable. Oh, I do like, because they had her in that gold dress for so long. I do like after they're in the armory and then they come out fighting, that she has cut off the end of it, so it's not so long and she can actually move. It's like, thank you for being a bit realistic on clothing.
No, yeah, I will say, yeah. Well, no, the whole time she like got into that mess, I was like, okay, when are you gonna cut your dress? When are you gonna cut your dress? Cause like, bro, you taking forever.
Yeah, and then she was barefoot too, because she had to lose her heels to be able to run. You can see in the armory there's like a whole bunch of boots lined up there, and she's looking at all that stuff as her and Aiden are talking in the armory. And so then when they come out, she's cut her dress, she's got the vest on, and she has boots on.
Yeah,
because one of my biggest pet peeves of any movie, action movie, and this one didn't do it, so it was fine. But whenever you have a female action person, and it's also on TV shows too, like cop shows and so on, who has long hair and doesn't put her hair back before fighting. That is one of my biggest pet peeves on this, because it's annoying. Hair gets in your way. I used to have long hair like all the time. I keep it like shorter length now. But it's like, it's annoying. And you're going to go do this massive fight scene, fighting a whole bunch of bad guys who are all around you, and you're flipping your head around, turning. You're going to put your hair up. So that annoys me. That's one of my pet peeves.
But that's like a true thing. Is like your hair, like I'm like, if I'm about to do a fight scene, my ass is like getting my rubber band and like putting my hair up.
You always have some sort of hair tie with you. And that annoys me the most with, like I said, any women in action positions, whether it's in films or TV shows. Like I watch a lot of cop shows, or you got, they're a cop or FBI or something like that. They're going to have their hair in a ponytail or bun or braid or something while they're at work. They're not going to have it down. That's ridiculous. It's going to be in the way. So yeah, I have a major pet peeve with that.
That's a fair point, though. That is a fair point. I was having a pet peeve with that dress, though. It's like,
yeah, the dress, I didn't mind the length, because then she cuts it off for fighting. So I was fine with the length. I didn't like the cut on top.
I didn't either. The whole time I'm like, you're comfortable? I'm like...
Yeah, I was like, oh, thank goodness you put like the Kevlar vest on to help hold everything in. Because I'm like, girl, of all those moves you're doing, you're going to fall out.
I know, it was amazing. I was like, oh. So no, yeah, so it was a very... I mean, I really found this movie enjoyable. But here's now my negatives. Sorry, guys. It's true. I'm a huge fan of the Kingsman franchise. I think they are the best modern spy movies ever, because they balance silliness and the dramaticness of spies. I have rewatched The Kingsman so many times. So it annoys me that this is part of that world, only because of a few things. First of all, Samuel Jackson, you're telling me that he has a twin brother who tried to take over the world? Really? That's the only explanation. Unless that one guy in Kingsman died or whatever and was resurrected as this new Samuel L. Jackson, which makes no sense. I'm just saying, twins here, same universe, doesn't really work. Okay? This is the second movie that Samuel L. Jackson has to deal with a cat. Captain Marvel, anybody? Yeah.
Hopefully he's a cat person. Or doesn't mind.
He is not. In Captain Marvel, the cat was one of the responsibilities of why he only has one eye, as Nick Fury.
Well, so actually, he didn't really have to deal with the cat in this movie. Well, by the time they get to him, she doesn't have the cat.
Oh, does she not?
Yeah, remember she had to leave the cat in the hotel room with her pretend parents. So
that's true.
And they drove straight from there straight to him. So he never got to meet the cat, of course, until it was all over at the book thing she was
book
at.
Signing. Either way, I'm just too close to comfort, making me think of Captain Marvel. I really, really wanted to see John Cena and Henry Cavill have a moment. Just a moment.
I'm sure there are plenty of other people who agree with you, and if so, please comment down below what you think on that. Because, yeah, it goes from Bryce and Sam kissing, and then, pulls out, and then it's seeing Henry and John just sitting there at the edge of the boat.
Not a fan of that. Well, no, and also I wasn't a fan of like the flirtatious thing with the Henry Cavill and that one girl, because I was like, are you telling me she's bi? Are you telling me she's bi? Because I'm like, this is what happens when you swap genders. I get why you had to do it. T already explained that factor earlier in the episode. But it's still frustrating because it's like...
Because, yeah, did she actually dance to, like, in the beginning scene when it's Henry Cavill playing out all, like, the dance and then going down the Jeep, did she actually do all that?
Yeah.
She's dressed similarly. When she's remembering everything, she does have a similar type of clothing on, like a tight button-up shirt and so on. I mean, it's very possible that she could have even just been pretending, because again, as a spy, you have to pretend to be a lot of things.
But are you telling me then that girl is a lesbian? Which, I'm not gonna lie, I did get that vibes. I did get that vibes in that one room with the safe where...
Oh, with the Keeper of the Secrets?
Yeah, because isn't it like the similar person? I don't know. I definitely got the vibe with the Keeper of Secrets that there was a thing. Maybe a brief thing.
I think it's just a quality to be a spy, whether you're good or bad. You have to be able to flirt very well with anyone. I think that's just a quality. That's got to be on their resume.
It's just like a requirement. Is that what you're saying?
They take classes. What did you think of the end on the boat when she's, been controlled again, and she's beating the crap out of Aiden? And he's just like, I can't hit you, like, I not do this. He did hit her like a couple of times in the fight, but he's like, I can't seriously hurt you. You can go ahead and beat the crap out of me.
It gave me a lot of talking about romances. It gave me a Bucky and Captain America feel to it when Bucky is brainwashed. I did think it was a little weird that like the music is a trigger, and as long as the music is going, she's brainwashed. And when it stops, she's not. I get that it's a way for people, like, because then, how do you undo it if that's not the rule of her brainwashing? But I don't see that happening. I actually wish she would have broken it herself, but that's just the hopeless romantic in me going like, true love will break any curse. Even though it's not a curse, this is mind control, but it does it in Divergent, okay? It breaks mind control in Divergent.
Yeah, that's just a choice that the writer has to make of, like, how she can break out of it. I'm sure they might have probably thought about that, of, like, everything that she's been through with Aiden at this point, it would be enough for her to be able to break it herself. I'm sure they probably thought about that. But then they had to do the payoff of having their friend and fellow partner being able to come back, because that was that whole storyline of how then how Aiden was able to survive being shot near the heart, and that's it all paid off for that.
I did like that, and I was like, I do like how he states, he's like, so you did an impossible trick shot after not shooting a gun in 5 years. You risked my life? Like, what?
Yeah, I like how she's explaining to him the whole heart, like shooting near the heart thing. It goes straight through, in and out. And it's like, as long as you plug it the hole up fast to slow down the bleeding, you'll be fine. And he's like, I don't believe. He's like, she's like, you're alive. Like, there's no other way to explain this. You are alive.
It's a very interesting thing. Again, my biggest pet peeve with this is just how ridiculous some of the stuff was. Like we've mentioned, the skating scene, the color smoke scene was a little excessive. Part of those fight scenes were gorgeous and beautiful, but there were some that, like the split into her shoulders dance move, that was a little ridiculous. Personally,
or when with the ice skating, she gets the gun and just spinning in place and shooting everyone. Like when she's just skating around and knifing people as she goes, I was fine with that. Yeah, it's when she did the spin with the gun, then I was like, that's a little much.
Yeah, so I feel like those were really beautifully done, and then they like just went over a little bit, which I get it. In the Kingsman, that's like worked for them, but for this one, for some reason, it just didn't work. Cause like in the Kingsman, I'm not gonna lie, my favorite scene out of the entire series is "Manners maketh the man," and that one's a pretty crazy fight scene too. But that one's more believable for everything that he does. And in this one, it's just like I don't think she could have, carried her significant other on her shoulders. Like, I don't think she's that kind of strong. I think she's more sneaky and more accurate in marksman than she is brute strength. I think he is the brute strength. That's why she sees him as a John Cena type person rather than this not as muscular man that he is. Let's put it that way. And then it goes back to also the whole Henry Cavill thing. First of all, my brother liked his accent. I did not like his accent. I am so sorry, Henry Cavill. You'll never see this. But his accent at the very end in the book signing for the
part you're talking about. Yeah, that was... I don't know why necessarily they threw that in there. That was just a fun little, like, what the heck moment at the end.
I think they were trying to put where he was, because he technically wasn't British, and the only reason for that is if he was British, then he would have gone to the Kingsman in the UK, and the Kingsman in the UK is a tailor shop, not a pub. I think whatever country he was supposed to be in is a pub, and that's the accent he was trying to give. I'm not a fan of it. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Superman. You're the best. You're the best in the world, Henry Cavill. You'll never see this, but still, I think he's amazing and great.
Yeah, I just thought that was unnecessary. They didn't need that to happen. Just her closing off with what she thinks every character done, and then we know like what everyone's doing. That would have been enough.
And also the fact that his last name is Argyle. Like, there is now an actual Argyle, which makes her Agent Kyle pointless and weird, and like, why then she chose that. And I do love, though, he's like, I think you have questions for me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, yeah. But also, how do you know that you're what she imagines? Because the dude in the figure doesn't look like Henry Cavill.
Yeah, it's just a regular type of action figure that she has.
Yeah. So I'm like, aside unless you can read her mind, you should not know what you look like. That being said, you could argue that it's more about the name, right? So she used Argyle. He literally is Argyle and looks like Argyle. So like, if someone like used my name or whatever, I'm like, do you have questions for me? Do I look like your fictional character? Then it would be my next question. But, and then they had the whole Kingsman location thing, which was really nice. I love the Kingsman world, though.
Yeah, so it's still debated when I was researching this online, especially with the Argyle book thing. It's still really debated of what the director is planning to do with this is like if he's trying to create like a larger world, and maybe there'll be like another Argyle thing and then another Kingsman, or he's going to combine them. You know, it's really up in the air because no one knows what he's doing yet. Maybe within the next couple of years we'll hear some more of whatever he's working on and what he's planning. But it is open to the possibilities of we could see these characters again.
It was underrated of a movie. I think that people were expecting something that they weren't. I feel like the marketing for this movie wasn't the best.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Like, I saw it in theaters anyways because it looks just like a fun movie from seeing the trailers. But with a movie like this, there's too much that can be given away in a trailer or in the interviews. So like I watched, when it came out, I also watched plenty of interviews that Bryce and Sam and Henry were all doing, and they couldn't really talk much about the movie. They could pretty much only talk about what was shown in the trailers, which is not exactly what the movie is about. It kind of gives you a different feel of it because you just think, oh, she's just naive author the whole time, because it can't show you the twist in the trailers. So they can only talk about it. There weren't like better trailers out there for it then, and so I think it didn't grab people the way it should have. And that's just an issue with a movie like this, where it's you can't give it away. It will ruin the film.
I think it was a well executed movie. Again, there were some parts where I don't think she could have carried her partner on her shoulders physically. That was the most ridiculous thing in the world. But to be fair, Kingsman is known for that stuff. Like, Kingsman will have Eggy do something like really weird and like stupid and silly, and like it works. It didn't work in this one. I'm not gonna lie and say it did, but it's a handful of moments for an overall good movie.
I'm glad this was released in theaters because it was great watching it in theater. But I think we're coming into a time also when the fact that this is available mostly on only one streaming service is going to seriously hurt it. Because there are some movies out there that, you know, they do okay at the theater, like this one did. It did okay. A lot of movies like that before, when they get out of the theaters, then sometimes they're available on multiple streaming services, or they're available on DVD or Blu-ray. You cannot get this on DVD and Blu-ray. It is not available. It is only available right now, and since it's been out of theaters, it's only been available on Apple TV, and now like on Amazon Prime, you have to buy it on that. So that really restricts people being able to watch this and for it to gather more of a following and more people liking it, because unless you pay for that Apple TV subscription or you have Amazon Prime or you're willing to buy it on that, you can't watch this movie.
Yes, I get where you're coming from, but also that's the whole point of them spending millions or thousands of dollars on movies like this, is to allure people to. So if it would have been more successful, like the Kingsman level of success that Kingsman had for the movie theaters, there'd be a lot more people that had Apple TV right now. Like, their whole end game of making these types of movies isn't distribution, it's subscription based.
Well, I was gonna say also a negative part with it always going to like just straight streaming and not releasing some sort of hard copy of it. It's usually with the Blu-rays that you get all the special features and behind the scenes stuff that we like to watch.
I was gonna say, the only thing that we have is like, I kept trying to see the behind the scenes stuff on this stuff, and I think I only found a 14-minute like interview style making, and I'm like, no. Luckily for me, because I get connected within the industry, because we've met some of them online on LinkedIn. When I become friends with them, their friends generate for me, and so now I have like a lot of VFX studio, so I get these breakdowns. It's like, that's how I knew the beginning sequence had CGI in it and how it was done. It was really great. The reason that I know that bunker the building for the Keeper was done digitally in CGI was because I saw the breakdown from the VFX studio, because I like look at that stuff and I look up, but the fact that I had to like go and like deep dive into it, I mean, that's what we're here, right? We're here to like do it for other people, but I also would like it a little bit easier on me.
See, that's why I love the Blu-rays. They just collect it all and put on the Blu-rays, and honestly, that's just the best option, especially for people who like films or you want to be a filmmaker. Watch the behind-the-scenes stuff as much as you can.
And what I will say to Amazon Prime is that they've been trying. So, like, I know for Hunger Games, The Mockingjay, I didn't buy it. I bought it digitally, but I bought it with bonus features. So what they'll do is they'll just stack them all next to each other, and it'll be like 3 hours more of the movie, and it's just all the view. I'll take that. I'll take that. Can we do that? And the thing is, like, Disney is learning that too. So they're doing their documentaries of the making of on their platform. I wish Apple will one day pick that up and start doing that. So yeah, that's our little spiel on like the industry right now, and wishing that we had more to tell you other than the little tidbits that we had for Argyle.
And telling you to go watch it. It is fun. Don't take it seriously. Just pop some popcorn, sit down for 2 hours, and have some fun.
It is made by the same director of Kingsman. There are scenes where there was a gold room. There was like a room that they had a fight sequence in which had gold accents in it. I can't remember, but that scene screamed Kingsman to me. Like the way that it was shot, the editing, it was just Kingsman, and I loved it. And that's when it hooked me. That's when I'm like,
yeah, so if you're a fan of the Kingsman movies, definitely watch this. And if you just like a good fun action movie, and it is funny, there's plenty of comedy through it, got a little bit of romance, great action scenes, the way they're filmed, it's just great. So definitely check it out.
Yeah, the action scenes were beautifully shot. I think some of the best footage in this movie was the action scenes. But you still get a little bit of the spy stuff. I think the difference though between Kingsman and this one is this one used more realistic spy gadgets. So they weren't actual gadgets, they were just equipment. And Kingsman is all about their gadgets, and you don't really get that in this one. That being said, there is still like spy-ish technology in here, so take that to account. But yeah, if you like the Kingsman, you might like it. You don't have to watch the Kingsman or know anything about the Kingsman to watch this movie. Don't expect it to talk about the Kingsman. This is not a
standalone spy action film.
But it has a little bit of romance, a lot of comedy, and a whole lot of action. A lot more action than I thought it did when first watching this trailer. So if you like action movies, I think Argyle is a great movie to watch with couples because you got a little bit of both for whatever you like. It's my personal opinion.
So how'd your crochet project go for this film?
So as we remember from last episode, I was here. Now I'm here. It's growing.
I know. I think I put about like 3 inches on mine here or so.
Yeah, I did about 2 inches per, or 1 inch per, because I'm doing them at the same time so that I can just sew them together. I'm trying to cut time, but it's also taking me longer. But it's easy because once I do one roll, I repeat it on this one, so I don't have to think about it as much. If you see the previous episodes, guys, you'll understand I struggle with crocheting and discussing films.
That's why I choose repetitive patterns, so I can easily just keep doing it while we're talking.
Which is why I now have this project that will be done, and if it comes out pretty, we might raffle it off. Who knows? I doubt it. I'll probably wear it. Let's be honest. It's for me. It's white. It's great.
You just have to wear it in one.
Yes, I'll wear it once I finish it in the next episode from when I finish it, and you'll be able to see it, and I'll be repping that. I love making stuff that you can wear, so it's really fun.
Our next one is The Beekeeper with Jason Statham. That's a recent one as well.
And don't forget to follow us on YouTube and wherever you listen to podcasts. Please rate us because that helps out the channel a lot. Our community tab is still filled with those polls. We want your input. We want to be able to choose our 4th movie based on what you guys want.
Bye guys, thanks for watching.
Bye.